Alright, so I'll watch to see how much sleep and then that's it, and then I can make it Alright, so everybody turn to page 17. Look at page 17, right? No, enjoy. Yeah, page 17. Everybody there? At 17 is the requirement. One thing that has been suggested, although I'm not sure if it's stated in that first paragraph, sometimes we can read the first paragraph before we read the requirements. Our case actually starts on page 16, and typically the first paragraph is like one line. Yeah. This scenario summarizes the development of a company called Rock Bottom through three phases. From its founding in 1955 to 2008, when it ceased trading. Alright? And then the phase that we noticed that we will have to do the phase one to start to get into the details of the phases. Alright? Back to page 17, looking at the requirements. A. Analyze the reasons for rock bottom success or failure in each of the three phases identified in the scenario. Evaluate how Rick Hines' leadership style contributed to the success or failure of each phase. All the thoughts, let's just repeat before we say anything else. B. Rick Hines considered franchising the Rock Bottom brand at 2 points in its history, 1988 and 2007. Explain the key factors that would have made franchising Rock Bottom feasible in 1988, but would have made it unlikely to be successful in 2007. Alright? 7 marks. That's the least number of marks in terms of 2. Most of the marks are in section A, and section A wants you to do a number of things. So let's read section A again. Analyze the reason for rock bottom success or failure in each of the three phases identified in the scenario. Evaluate how Rick Hines' leadership style contributes to the success or failure of each stage. Now, having read the requirements, we need to now start to figure out what it means and guide us in terms of how we're going to write our answers. Alright? Firstly, what does the requirement want? So in terms of writing your answer, what are you looking for? What would this script look like? Phase one. I'll use a subject in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Alright? Break it down just like that. Now for phase 1, for each of the phases, if I create a subheading that's the phase 1, I'm going to look at the factors that led to the success or the failure for that phase. I'm going to also mention within that his leadership style. Alright? In a sense, I write about that disappear and then come back and write the leadership style. But that is the I'm finished with phase 1. Similarly, as always with the company. Finish with company 1, finish with company 2, but in those kind of cases, because I have to discuss each one in turn, better just do everything while I'm under that heading and move on. Alright? Don't make sense to come back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Alright? So yes, it's 2 parts to the question. So sometimes might go into your head and say, let me write part A, part 1 first, and then part 2. In this case, you're going to write part 1 and part 2 for each of the cases. Alright? So I'm going to be looking in the case and finding the reason. Note here. One of the reasons why I picked this case is because we cannot come up with any answers by just reading requirements. Only thing we can do is to plan our structure, what it will look like, and be clear in our heads what we're supposed to be doing. But we actually can't say anything. Alright? We need a case. We can look from now and say, oh, the reason why phase 1 was successful was because of what? We don't know. We need a case. This is a perfect example of a case. It's a case that helps you. Little or no knowledge really needed from teaching. You might start to worry, but we really have to evaluate the leadership style. And in teaching, you sure they must have names around leadership style. Right? And they might have things called transformational leader, charismatic leader, dogmatic leader, transactional leader, autocratic leader, democratic leader. Okay. Don't care, and when you read the case and look at the answer, really don't care. Again, one of the things about each student asks you to look at leadership style is that you just try to find a way to put what you observe on leadership. You can sometimes even make up names, as long as it sounds like it's something. So, listen to nobody, it sounds very autocratic. There's something autocratic. You know, I call him autocratic. Yeah? Right? If I wanted to open door policy, guess what? Guess what a leadership style is? Open door policy leadership style. Don't. So yes, it could have been fancy name and a democratic leadership style. Participatory. What gets right here? Open door. Don't worry your head about it, right? So open. Alright? So that might be the worry though. Alright, so I'm cool. Now go to the case and let us look at the leadership style. Drop it into phase 1, drop it into phase 2, drop it into phase 3. Alright? B part says now, Richmond considered franchising the Rockman brand at 2 points in its history, 1988 and 2007. Explain the key factors that would have made franchising Rockman feasible in 1988, but would have made it unlikely to be successful in 2007. What is that one asking? Alright, yeah, look at phase 1 and phase 3. Why am I looking at that? Right. So look at, for example, when we're talking about, even though we're discussing it from so about the thing, we've been talking about franchising from morning. What are some of the things you've been looking out for? Now, this is not in case you've been, but you have to look out. There are some things you can be aware of. So somebody mentioned branding. There has to have been something around the branding in 1988 that would have made it nice and possible, and then something affect the brand in 2007 that made it not so possible in our pizza. Right? The case will reveal other things, but at least the brand should have come together. Alright? The case will reveal other things, but the brand must be one of them. That's why we're talking about franchise. We say, oh, now buying a franchise. We laugh on the top, we say, listen, the company's name again. Stanley, Stanford, right? And we laugh on the brand. So similarly, remember to bring that to the table as well. Was the brand strong in 1988, and did it become weak in 2000? And you look over anything in that. Alright? So, should I read or should I let you guys read? Reading. What's it? Extreme. Phase one, 1965 to 1980. Alright, so read as I read, make a little notes, and I'll come back and ask for it. Alright? In 1965, you know what I'm going to go forward just before I start reading. Success or failure, reading for them in each of the pages, and also looking for the franchising thing. Alright, so I'll oh yeah, and leadership style. In 1965, customers usually purchase branded electrical goods, largely produced by well-established domestic companies, from general stores that stock a wide range of household products. However, in that year, a recent university graduate, Richmond, established his first shop specializing in sale of electrical goods. In contrast to the general stores, Richmond's shop predominantly sold imported Japanese products, which were smaller, more reliable, and more sophisticated than the products of domestic competitors. Richmond quickly established a chain of shops staffed by young people who understood the capabilities of the products they were selling. He backed this up with national advertising in the press and innovation at the time for such a specialist shop. He branded his shops as rock bottom, the name which specifically referred to his cheap prices, but also alluded to the growing importance of rock music and its influence on product sales. In 1969, 80% of sales were of rock music centers, turntables, amplifiers, and speakers bought by the newly affluent young. Rock bottom began increasingly to specialize in selling audio equipment. Alright? And also developed a high public profile. He dressed unconventionally and performed a number of outrageous stunts that publicized his companies. He also encouraged the managers of the stores to be equally outrageous. He rewarded their individuality with high salaries, generous bonus schemes, and autonomy. Many of the shops were extremely successful, making their managers and some of their staff relatively wealthy people. Right? Last paragraph what it says. However, by 1980, the profitability of the rock bottom shops began to decline significantly. Different competitors using a similar approach, direct commercial competitors using a similar approach had emerged, including specialist sections in the large general stores that had initially failed to react to the challenge of rock bottom. The buying public now expected its electrical products to be cheap and reliable. And instead became less flamboyant and told on its appearance and action to satisfy the banks, who were becoming an increasingly important source of the finance required to expand and support this chain of shops. So that was phase one. What I learned about phase one, what can we link to success or failure in phase one, what can we link to leadership style? I never mentioned something yet. Never quite mentioned yet the 1988 franchising, it just happened at the start of phase two, never quite mentioned it, so we cannot quite push that yet. Demand for music and stuff. The young persons wanted music. Yeah. Whatever that. He developed something niche. Yeah. What is that? Which one is to the demand initially? When you recently graduated, you were a market person. Right. So he recognized a market need that existed at the time. Right. Because the general stores were not offering the equipment and the service that way. Alright? So he recognized the need. The young affluent wanted cheap, reliable stuff. Right? And the I wouldn't say cost leadership. I've never had to study, so it put up on more like cost focus. Right? Cost leadership requires you to be big. Yeah. And cost leadership means that you are the lowest cost of the industry. Right? He was innovative, yes. Right. What about his management style? Is there a management style in there? It was very free flowing and he delegated a lot of responsibility to the management of the store. Yeah. Yeah. So he was, we could say he was participatory, he was democratic, right? Obviously he had charm about him, so he was charismatic, right? With the flamboyant thing and then the flamboyant group, right? And because of that, he got wealthy. Yeah. And so he was motivated because obviously he had right. To say, yeah. And I don't know, he probably say as well that in the beginning, you would say that in the beginning they were very successful, but because of some of that flamboyant behavior, the salary packages and so on, it helped to bring the company down a bit. To me, in terms of phase one, I would call phase one a success. I think it ended before anything bad happened. So even though you mentioned profitability declining, it's right, but it didn't say there was no profitability. So I would still end it as a success. Right? Right? And because one of the things that drove the profitability down was that new competitors. Yeah, they were responding. Right. Yeah. So he was there for a good little while. Yeah, man. So I would say overall the phase was profitable. Yeah. We're not quite knowing it. Don't judge it yet. Don't judge it yet. Remember they wanted the balance to help him increase and expand the chain of stores. Right. So you want extra command so you can appear. Everybody knows they're married, using a people money against money. Just that I would probably write that just at the end of that phase, there are competitors who probably meant that he probably wasn't watching. Yeah, it probably meant that he wasn't paying enough attention. Yeah, maybe sometimes the success gets in our way, and sometimes we don't see things very yeah. Yeah. Well, we're seeing more of that in the other phases, yeah. Exactly, but I wouldn't say I see a strong evidence of it just yet. No, they just kind of mention it, so it kind of indicates that, but when you go to the other phases, it's where it is. Here's a thing though that we had mentioned that was also good. Not only that he allowed his employees and managers to do their own thing and to be a flamboyant and things that. Look at what he employed young people. Who were they selling to? Young people. And the customers, yes. And they right. There's nothing like imagine I'm going to talk about one new smartphone now. People are saying that it's their phone. I come to me. I'm not coming to them. I was a gray year, man. You probably still have the whole Nokia, but you go switch more. Hey, what you can tell me about smartphone? Right? Right. Which again, I'm afraid to young people again. Yeah. What was innovative because nobody did national advertising before. Yeah. Exactly. So it did almost everything right up to near the end of the phase. Yeah. So it's like it sort of he understood the market what the market wanted. His leadership style was what was demanded at that time. He employed young people because he was going to be selling stuff to young people. And he did young himself. So I guess he kind of didn't know the market yet. Right. Yeah. I even noticed that all general stores, they never pay attention because they can imagine a very old man around. And I understand the young people want all that stuff. And it also spoke to the quality of the products that he was selling. Right. Yeah, it's more reliable. So even though it's cheaper, it's more reliable. Yeah. Alright? Yeah. So those are the things you want to write. Those are the things you highlight. Right? To say in phase one, Rick Hines, being a young entrepreneur, recognized the power of the young customer. He employed young managers to sell goods that were different from existing goods. They were cheap and reliable to young people. They knew the products. His leadership style was one that allowed the managers to grow, to flourish themselves, so they don't want to act independently, grow their store, grow their business. Right? That was profitable and it was good for the time. That was what was needed between 1965 and 1980. Alright? Let's look what happens now in phase two. And this one is between 1989 and 2002. In 1988, remember now, so part B, the last such as a why in 1988 franchising would have been a good option versus 2000. Alright? In 1988, I considered changing the rock bottom shops into franchise, inviting managers to buy their own shops, which at the time were still profitable, and pursuing expansion through opening new shops with franchisees from outside the company. However, instead, he floated the company on the country stock exchange. He used some of the capital raised to expand the business. However, he also sold shares to help him through the party of a lifetime. And to purchase expensive goods and gifts for his family. I became chairman and chief executive officer of the newly quoted company. But over the next 30 years, the relationship with the board and shareholders became difficult. Gradually, new financial controls and reporting systems were put in place. Most of the established managers left as controls become more centralized and formal. The company's performance was solid but unspectacular. I complained that business was not a fun thing. All the times I know. Yeah. The company was legally required to publish directors' salaries in its annual report, and the general salary package enjoyed by the chairman and CEO increasingly became an issue, and it dominated the 2002 annual general meeting. Time was embarrassed by its publication, and the discussion it led to in the national media. He felt that it was an infringement of his privacy and civil liberties. Alright? Because I don't think also can start to talk about it in 65. Like 2002, that's what. 37 years, and let's say almost 20, about 57 now. Right, alright. So what happened is this. Tell me what happened.
Basically, the ride over the whole the company seems to have been in a mature phase, and his mind was still in the developing. Basically, he had to adapt down to the fact that he's on stock exchange and
he didn't want to. Yeah. Because stock exchange is not forced to be very formal. Yeah. Corporate governance thing and chickens and you know I have to report to people and the things that you want. Right? So he never really was.
you know the best people carry that control
And the culture would have changed. Did we see anything in this space suggesting that the culture had changed?
Yeah.
Who were the managers who were leaving? Would those managers, if they were still there and in 1988, would they have bought their stores? One very good reason why they would have bought their stores was that Heinz did literally make them independent to begin with. So they would have bought the stores. Like when they franchised it to them, they would have taken it. They know that style already. But why did they leave?
Because they control straight jacket.
The control that put them in now. So no more centralized. It's because the stock exchange is here. So they can do whatever they want. Yeah. They needed to now become more formal. So those managers who had the entrepreneurial spirit, they were no longer there. So when I get to 2007, what you can suspect what happened in 2007? Because if the entrepreneurial managers were there in 1988, they would have bought the franchise. The brand was recognized, it was still profitable. They had already run the store, like I feel them one already. If they're not there in 2007, when you try to franchise it, whoever buy it, you can start to see the writing on the wall. And the chances are the brand will have it. Alright? Yes, sir. Good? Again, hands are ignored. Look at one of the things we created for PS1.
He could recognize
that he recognized that there was a need for change. He does see that in a PS2. And Shannon said, what's the need in a PS2? Yeah. Instead of operate as if it was in PS1.
you can't get so long in a PS1.
PS1 sweet in so much, yeah.
Based on what I'm reading, I don't see where it says that anything was wrong with the whole or with the fact that they were selling to young people. I don't so they changed the market to who they're selling them. My view is the problem that he's still operating as if he is the sole person there as the owner and the head cook and back to washer basically. It's not necessarily the products or the service or the management.
Right. By PS2, we're not quite yet that we realize there's something wrong. PS2 we're required that we're picking up something wrong. Right? So PS3 will tell you this is something wrong. Okay. Alright? Now one of the things was that maybe when he started his PS1 selling to young people, the young people were young then. The young people are young no more. So what is going to happen is that rock bottom are turned into the old general store. That rock bottom came yeah. Peer old people. So peer old people in there, and peer old people that said old people. Yeah. So you don't have the young persons again. Right. I guess because that old people in the reality that you need them all. Say, when you say, okay, so stereos and amplifiers and whatever more rap. Probably MP3s and everything.
Sir, provided kids basically people didn't have access to what was happening in terms of the I thought that the main problem was I kind of management kind of
so tell me, just tell what the management yeah. Tell what this management more formal? Yeah.
More formal. I'm not used to that.
Yeah, I'm not used to it. I'm not used to it.
And not even that, he has to do the report. And no longer thinking of himself as being a shareholder. He doesn't know how to do it. Because he's chairman and CEO, obviously not know.
If you notice in the comment when say, yeah, it's being required.
Yeah,
the company as a company and don't see that the whole any financial responsibility. And that's the money in the one.
But at the same time, when he's talking about privacy, just the fact that he is whole chairman and CEO, it should not have
Again, it's because it's still a company as a company. So why should you separate the rules?
And then because he has both, he thinks that he's in charge of all the deal and he has all power to make it. No one can by him.
That's why I want to. Yes, can I get that integrity?
He probably when it came to certain decisions, he's probably not an board as shareholder because he's not a CFO and he's used to probably making decisions for himself, even though managers would have made it. But this person was the board board.
Yeah.
So they're going to problem as well.
And then if salary when it gets close and it gets like the lights and the whole rest of it.
Which can I show you, I'm talking about the corporate governance, it sounds as if there was really no corporate governance structure. And if I had a nomination committee and remuneration committee, yeah. Just say leadership. Here in leadership, what was required was more formality. And he was kind of doing it but not doing it.
Sir, it will come up.
Takes the question.
It's
the question because if the persons who are there before you, right? I'm gonna assume that you're taking on fresh persons who have the ideas and they're there. You're telling me at this point in time, nobody, nothing as it pertains to alright, this structure, whatever is it that nobody was
experiencing on the board is not problem at all. Right, so more than likely the board was taking right. It was that strong back in the day. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So the success and failure really more failure.
It's kind of more leaning in space towards failure. Right? I think they're probably, would we say that they're still making money what they did? They're still kind of making money.
So I don't think that's what he missed.
Right.
It's just the culture that was there. Money was being made, but the culture changed.
Right. So what was required in terms of his leadership there would have been more formal approach because and greater control because you are now on the stock exchange, but to realize that he was having problems with it because he never liked the idea that the people reporting.
So sorry, you said failure?
And of course, most of his entrepreneur managers left. So if he employed new managers, they're going to be employed under the new structure. Most of them will be more formal now rather than entrepreneur.
So what is the failure or would they were leaning towards?
It's kind of leaning a bit towards the failure, yes. But I wouldn't necessarily say total failure, right? I wouldn't say failure. It's still profit. I would say here, I wouldn't say because we go after money, so we can't say profit or not profit. We can say less successful. Phase 2 was certainly a lot less successful than phase 1.
And then you talk about the priorities on the stock exchange and what you do.
Yeah.
And you know, do the opposite of it and all of that.
So yeah.
Shareholders money.
Yeah. So what I would probably do is probably even as an opening, either can either put them open as a closing. First thing you probably want to say, phase 2 was not as successful as phase 1. And there are a number of issues led to this.
And then you talk about the going on stock exchange,
right.
Or to shareholders.
Right. So again, as I said, in terms of his leadership style, what was required was more, if you look at it, more formal. And you don't have to say that he has fancied as a more formal leadership. He, however, resisted that, right? Because in a way, he was still trying, as much as the formality was there, he was still trying a little bit to be a little bit still flamboyant, doing things in one way. All right? Then there's not such a word.
He's trying to do things his own way through taking up both positions of CEO and chairperson.
Yeah, but give us an example. All right?
And also the purchase of the books, expensive books, that spending never passed on these others.
Not that spending the money. Yeah. You should have made some money that way. You should have been liberal.
When they sell insurance, they don't use the finance to do that job. That's not no return. But if you want to go chairman and CEO, you can also say that the fact that he went on the stock market field understand what the company's main objective is, which is to maximize the wealth of the shareholders as well. They can go like business.
This is what, yeah. And again, it's this thing that you don't feel like he's accountable to anyone. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Who was the corporate school to say that he didn't want people on the shoulder, individuals on why he chose to
Versus it could very well be, yeah. Because you kind of wonder why, the franchising and all the places.
I'm supposed to talk about people
It's what I want, yeah. So you could bring that in, yeah. Alright, let's see what happened at phase 3. And if you look at the phase 3, not even long, they look like he never last very long. So 2003 to 2008. In 2003, I found a substantial private equity investment necessary to take Rockford private again. He also used all of his personal fortune to help reacquire the company from the shareholders. He celebrated freeing rock bottom from his shackles. They know everybody was who was there. They never get the invitation. Yeah. But that is not saying that the local celebrities do. Celebrities from all over the world. However, most of the new generation of store managers found Heinz style to be too loose and unfocused. And we know why. Appear formal managers coming now, they used to structure and formality and whatever. He became rude and angry about their lack of entrepreneurial spirit. Furthermore, changes in products and how they were purchased meant that fewer people bought conventional audio products from specialist shops. So that's it. Yeah. The reliability of these products now meant that they were replaced relatively infrequently. Heinz immediately started to consider selling via an internet site. Turnover and profitability plummeted. In 2007, Heinz again considered franchising the company. But he realized that this was unlikely to be successful. In early 2008, the company ceased trading, and Heinz himself, now increasingly vilified and attacked by the press, filed for personal sometimes what I think is that caused all these things doing is that Danny Miller wrote this book, which is also mentioned in your text and in your class. We're talking about strategic drift. One of the things that Danny Miller wrote about was, and it was entitled The Icarus Paradox, how successful companies brought about their own downfall. They believe that they know what led to their success, and then just continue along. I thought I did something that the general stores didn't do, so I know that market and I don't have to change. Even though the market is changed. There was a company, one of the very first company in the world created video games, right? It was called Atari. When they created video game, nobody knew what the hell a video game was. So Atari had to work to sell it to people and convince people saying, yes, you want to play this game. I remember the game was some basic little something. It was a black screen. For example, one of the first games was Pong. It was a black screen. And you had to put it for your paddle, one green line across, one red line, and the ball must have been yellow or something like that. 3 colors. And you hit Pong, and you go off the screen, you beat, then you get the point or whatever the story is. That was and then they started to develop more fancy one. They started to get now into Space Invader and those kind of things there, and your Tetris and those kind of things. They started to get into that. But it was Atari who came up with all the video games. And Atari said, when first started selling, said, you probably need to listen to what people want. I know sometimes what people want, and Atari said, all the people have to know what they want. I mean, tell them what they want. That's the way I've always done it. And then Nintendo came out with Super Mario. Mash up every single thing. The main thing with Super Mario, I remember even feeling here to say, when I played it, because when we play all of the Atari game, then you go to the edge of trying to stop. And you're pressing the same man. You can't go more. Me, I play Super Mario. I'm going to go over to the other side and like, what? Never see it. How is that possible? Or you need to jump in here. It's not supposed to happen. And then after that, there's no way that I was going back to back. And guess what? Atari still never want to trust. Nintendo nada, because they don't know what it is. Right? Atari is good. Exactly. Alright? There are no more. That in his book, he mentioned a whole lot of companies that you guys have never heard about, but they were the dominant players in their time. There was that guy who made computers, you see? And he said his computers were out of this world in terms of quality. And because the quality was so good, they were very expensive, but the guy did not know what to run. He was just one technical guy. Then the team is in lockdown when they had a lab and invent the next one. Because he might work on improving the quality and improving the quality and improving the quality. But people never really want it.
My God.
Probably on that tree. When he was working on improving the quality, that is the call it crafts and becoming thinker. Is that thinker effective? No one can say anything. I need to be like the past. And no one can say anything. And people are talking about me for you. So you don't get tired after a while and say, no, you don't do it. I'm going to go over the thing what's right. And that's what the old man before you go over it. And that's what happens. And they kind of look at what is happening behind the scenes. Behind the scenes is that I know what the secret of my success was. And because I know it, I don't need to change anything. But the audience has changed. Look at it, you have now moved away from the young people. So you see the people that started who are coming in the story, they're still not eating. Because after all, you don't want that shit of old people either. Right? Because people in their 30s are this is what they're going to. But then you know the same not eating here or that I think you know that. It's supposed to together, then they turn 60-year-old. After you're 60-year-old, I come to the store. Seriously, you're not gonna make no money.
No, but so you can't even put it like that, you know, because in his mind, he was still 18.
He's still
So
his
the
age.
60-year-old is still 18.
Yeah. So if nothing wrong with it. We call that strategy. You think you know what was the secret of your success, and so you live on it and refuse to change. You don't recognize that the environment around you has changed. Alright? There are some persons, by the way, use it in terms of the iPhone as well in terms of a example. And the iPhone actually changed and have now been outselling Samsung. The iPhone with their small screen refused to change. You know why? Because one of the things that Steve Jobs said was when I came up with the iPhone was because people said the screens that were available at that time were too small. So he came with a bigger screen. He said the reason why the iPhone was so successful was because it had the right screen size. He wasn't recognizing that it's not the right screen size, or if it was the right screen size, was the right screen size then. It doesn't mean that it's the right screen size. And Steve Jobs refused to change. Steve Jobs never did after that still have a screen size. Because he did.
Change it.
And people don't have as much confidence in Tim Cook as Tim Cook recognizing him to do something different. Right? He changed it. Right? And the change of that size caused them now to be selling more than Samsung. Alright? So sometimes we focus in on something. This is what made me successful. And oftentimes it is the wrong thing to focus. Right? And we still think that if it led to our success 10 years ago, it still will lead to the success. So this is what happened when I still are living at the past. And it's sure they must still, because by the stage, all the time, seriously. When I was not sure, heart. You sure much what happened in the future or something like that. Right?
So, in 90 just replace one of the problems surgery.
Right? Because from 1965 to 2008. That was 35 years, right? 43 years. 43 years. Yeah. Yeah, probably 80. Not paying attention. So, why would the franchising have been good? And could I be not such a good idea? That's not brand and it's profitable. You might entrepreneurial managers who identify with the store because they do the store, so they would have liked it, would have been enthusiastic about it. What happened in 2007? The brand never touched on that. Profit dwindling. Right? The brand and the product were very much outdated. Right? And the entrepreneurial manager. That's why. Alright? So it's less these formal managers are interested to run a store. They just come to get one job. Work 9 to 5, get my pay at the end of the month, and that's it. And then tell us that we want to be investor. Right? But let's come to the more. So a different set of managers. Not interested. They would never buy. Alright? That's what makes the difference. If you know this stage, what would we say about phase 2? Successful, in the middle, unsuccessful. And that's where the company went dead. They area. Yeah. You should have died. When from should be not listed on the stock exchange to begin with. Yeah, maybe should have come on the one that's listed. Yeah. Things all the time to franchise and probably even because that time of it easy because all the man focus on is rebuilding the brand and now run the store. And they want to get an opportunity to expand faster, they want the money to expand it without expanding. But you use phase two to the damage control, the fallout from phase one. Right. But by phase three, no, because of this kind of stock exchange, they like the format control, wanted to go back in format. Right? Get venture capital instead of at least borrow money and taking all that income to them out and buy up all of the shares. Again, we're trying to reach the point. You know, that is how we wanted to get back to. So you start by showing now at the 8-year-old man or 9-year-old man at your party of a lifetime or I'm bringing all the cheese in. And I'm flying right? Yeah, and at this time now, that child would not even have worked with these kind of managers who are at the store. Because remember the managers come in, they don't move and unfocused. Right? What you can notice again, the leadership style here is a mismatch with the circumstances in context. The only time there was the perfect match was in the where his style and the circumstances. So if you notice, there are times in your P3, guys, where we really don't have to know any topics per se, any knowledge stuff. I just use the case and apply analysis, common sense analysis. And you're right. So every now and again, he does give you those questions because P3, for the most part, is about case analysis. All right? So he will give you a lot of information. Students have complained, by the way, that his cases are too long. One of the things he says is that if I didn't make the case long enough, you wouldn't have enough to do your analysis. So that's why I made the case that long to give you all the information to help you with your analysis. Nope. I would say he was going a bit more informal again. He wanted to go back informal. So he didn't want that whole lot of control. So he was going informal. But he was stuck with a bunch of formal, what do you call them, subordinates. All of his subordinates were formal. So that's why they viewed his actions as so strange. Alright? Alright, I won't touch any of the major cases. I'll just look at something else quick for the evening. Look on page 28. That was something else in our focus point. So page 28. Again, not the entire case because again we wanted to focus on a particular thing. Yeah, page 28. Alright, look at this opening paragraph. The country of mayhem is in a long and deep economic recession, with unemployment at its highest since the country became an independent nation. In an attempt to stimulate the economy, the government has launched a private-public investment policy where the government invests in capital projects with the aim of stimulating the involvement of private sector firms, not Jamaica. Community centers, the building of a new community center in the city of Tilo is an example of such an initiative. Community centers are central to the culture of mayhem. They are designed as places where people can meet socially, local organizations can hold conferences and meetings, and farmers can sell their products to the local community. The centers are seen as contributing to a vibrant community life. The community center in Tilo is in a sprawling old building rented at $12,000 per month from a local landowner. The current community center is also relatively energy inefficient. Take a look at this requirement. Have you noticed it only said B because that wasn't interested in the part A? The PAA also believes that the four sets of benefits identified in the original business case, the business case there that you're looking at, rental savings, energy savings, increased income, and better staff morale should have been justified more explicitly. Draft an analysis for the PAA that formally categorizes and critically evaluates each of the four sets of proposed benefits defined in the original business case. It's 12 marks. And it's 4 categories we need to put it in. Alright, so you can do a little maths. What is this one asking us, and what does that have to do with them figures here in figure 1? If you notice in figure 1, by the way, just a quick comment, you see cost. And you know, so we have money, we put a money there, we have cost recurring. And then look at the benefits. Rental savings, energy savings, increased income, better staff morale. So we talked earlier about doing a financial case. We looked at something earlier, we talked about doing that financial case of costs versus benefits. Look at some of these costs. They are financial. Look at some of these benefits. Well, they seem to list all the benefits as financial, but are they all financial? Right? What does Part B wants us to do? What does he mean by formally categorizes? So that's one of the things that you must do, you know, draft an analysis for the PAA that formally categorizes each of the 4 sets of benefits, and you also need to do something that critically evaluates each of the 4 sets of proposed benefits. What does it mean that we can categorize them? Let's look at the categorize part. It's 4 benefits. What can we categorize them as? The reason why we can use financial and non-financial here is because they're coming out all as financial. So we can use the 4 sums. I hope you don't write them on the paper. Okay. So anybody else know the 4 something? Observable, measurable, quantifiable, and financial. Those are the 4 categories of things. Observable is the lowest one we start at. Measurable is the next level above observable. Quantifiable is the next level above measurable. And financial is the highest level of them. Now, if we categorize them, what the examiner wants us to remember those 4, it means we're going to look at these 4 and see where they fall. and then ask us to critically evaluate, look at the pros and cons on the four sets of benefits. Alright. Alright, so let's start at the bottom. This is observable. Which of those four benefits sounds as if they are observable? Okay, what is it? Alright, so better staff morale would be the observable benefits. Critically evaluate better staff morale and its observable benefits. What about? Good, bad, indifferent? Alright, just before you start it, since I critically evaluate, tell me something good and tell me something.
With the moral influence that means probably access to our work or whatever we can improve.
Right.
Better performance.
Because it's better performance, right? Alright. Drawbacks, what's the bad side? Hard to quantify, right? And not only hard to quantify, hard to trace it back to exclusively that, to associate it exclusively with this building this new community set. Right? Could be other factors.
Also, I don't understand why they say better staff morale when they're talking about the center. I don't know. It doesn't seem far fetched staff or.
I guess the staff are working on clean and newer environment. There have been a new community, probably more space, that kind of thing there. So that's what you would write as probably. Here's the thing about writing this category of benefits that you also put in terms of your critical evaluation. If the benefits, so you write the argument to say it's hard to specify or to arrive at a reliable number. But if you don't put in a number, it's going to devalue the benefits of the community project. New community center. If you don't put in something, it's going to undervalue the community center. Alright? So if you notice, we kind of, even though we're criticizing to say, we don't only get our money from about $25,000 a year for 5 years, blah, blah, blah. But then if you leave it out, it's going to undervalue the benefits. Alright? Alright, so that was observable. Let's go to measurable. What do you mean by measurable? So yeah, so we're probably measuring it now, but we don't know the level of change that will come about. We can't reliably forecast the level of change. Alright? So tell me again the reason why I'm about to energy savings. Shouldn't we be able to reliably forecast that one? If I was using a 100-watt bulb, I'm going to go a 3-watt LED, I should be able to reliably forecast the income, right? Yeah. Increased income, we cannot reliably predict what the increase will be. So people are like saying, I get more sales, much more sales. No, 10%, 20%, some runners up. Don't. Alright? And again, we have to do a critical evaluation. Take a look at the numbers, guys, of increase. Go over the slide. Look at it. Everything jump over there.
So by the third year, it makes a massive jump of 50, and by the third year, that make a massive jump of 50. By the fourth year, make another massive jump again. By the third year, remain constant, which is highly unlikely.
Right. So again, we don't know the basis of why they want to come for this prediction. It could be because they want the benefits to outweigh the cost, right? We kind of understand it in a way that if you just start with new things, I expect the sales to just change dramatically. So, right? It won't change same time. So maybe I have 20,000 a year, 120,000, but what evidence you have that is going to jump by 50 in year 3? Yeah. How you know that you can just dramatically change that after 2 years people know about the community center and everybody has started by Fisher Friday evening. Alright? So write a little question. Again, do not write like you're calling the people liars. We just arrive, so when we have question the basis used to arrive at the number. As a matter of fact, we are supported to a point that we have to hear and understand it and start quiet. An increase is just that we don't know if that increase there is the right. Right. Alright? And not only does it jump 50,000 in a year 3, then go up again 20,000 in a year 4, and then just plateau. At that point. Yeah. Alright? So we're not quite sure. So that's what you write. When you talk about critically evaluate each, you need to write a good thing about the category, why you want to put it in. Because remember, it's something else you're measuring now. And obviously, part of doing it is to see if the community center can generate increased income. So yes, you want to have something like that being represented in the project. Right? And as a matter of fact, your estimates look like it starts off on a rational basis, not going to change radically, but then why jump so dramatically in a year 3? Alright? What's the basis for this? So again, we're not accusing anybody, we're not right? Like we're accusing anybody of doing anything, we just say we don't know. Okay. Alright? Alright, let's go to the next category of benefits now, which is the quantifiable. Energy savings? Yeah. Because we should be able to quantify that. Alright? Again, as I mentioned, if we change out the light bulbs, you know what your wattage use is. So you're supposed to can come up with it. Alright? And the case I mentioned just at the top, just before we got to the data that the community center, the current one, was relatively inefficient anyway. So you want to show something like that in your business case to show that we're actually building a better center that's going to not use as much energy. That's a reason there. Alright? And this one should be fairly non-controversial because we're supposed to get quantify. Alright? So shouldn't be a controversial. What about the last one? What about the financial? Right. Both our rental savings and our energy savings are going there, but both can be expressed in terms of money. Yeah. Most of that are quantifiable. If we can find the price, we can move them into financial. But once they're quantifiable, we know exactly what they are. Alright, and so we can then turn it into the financial. So most quantifiable stuff can also come into the financial. Alright? And for us, the rental savings, we kind of didn't know what the rental savings were. Because even without them giving us the figures up there, look at in the case they had mentioned, it said $12,000 per month. Alright, 12 is 140. Yeah. Alright? So we could always have turned the rental in. And that's what the examiner wants. Alright? And again, we have to express this in terms of financial because we actually have a financial savings, and that will help in the justification of the cost we're going to incur to make this more energy efficient. Alright? So I don't think there's any too much negative against financial benefits, right, in terms of the rental savings and the energy savings. We could have come up with arguments against for the others, and we've got an argument really. It makes sense to always put this kind of thing. Alright? Alright. I think your head must be full for the day. Alright, we will stop here for today. We're going to do some of those cases. We're going to do some writing for me. Then we get feedback from you in terms of writing, and we can do some assessment. Alright, so we'll do most of that tomorrow. Alright, enjoy the rest of the evening.